Boy, if something's changed with me in music since then. So let's do an update. What's good, guys? It's me, Ryan. And when I was first starting out YouTube, one of the first videos I ever did was my top favorite bands. Now, as most of y'all should know, I'm a metalhead, and back then I was a metalhead. I have the same general interest still, but my kind of places that I would put each band has kind of changed, especially since I found a new favorite band. But first, please consider liking and subscribing. It would help me out so much. But anyway, let's get into the video. So, number 5 on our list is DragonForce. Now, this was on my list last time, and most of these are going to be just kind of generally like different places. When I was first introduced to DragonForce as a little kid, and by the way, I've been a metalhead my whole life, so, but when I was introduced to DragonForce, maybe I was like 6 or 7. I used to think that the fastness of their songs was incredible, to say the least. Like, I thought that the speed of their songs was crazy, but the truth is, the only song I knew from DragonForce for years, up until recently, was obviously Through the Fire and the Flames. And I remember thinking that it being 7 minutes was insane. Like, oh, that was so long. Until I discovered another band that's iconic for long songs. Anyway, number 4 on our list is a band that I'm more familiar with. I listen to more of their songs, and that band is Iron Maiden. Now, I've been only listening to Iron Maiden for a few years regularly at this point, but I'm familiar with a lot of their stuff. 2 Minutes to Midnight, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, Wasted Years, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, even their later stuff, their longest song, Empire of the Clouds, which is 18 minutes. That's another one of my favorite songs from them. Yeah, I like long songs. Gee, what else is there? The Parchment, Power Slave, Caught Somewhere in Time, Alexander the Great. But yeah, I like a lot of songs. Even some from the Paul Di'Anno era. Now, this next one is the band that I spent most of my time listening to as a little kid. And really, it was the only band that I really, knew up until a few years ago when I started, actually checking out music on my own and other bands and stuff like that. I started becoming more open in music and, other bands. But this next one is Judas Priest. Now, strangely enough, the only 2 songs I listened to by Judas Priest for a good amount of time when I was a little kid was Turbo Lover and Painkiller, and sometimes Breaking the Law. Now, Painkiller is an incredible song. It's probably Judas Priest's best song. But as a little kid, I was more in a commercially kind of style metal, so I like Turbo Lover more for some reason. And don't get me wrong, Turbo Lover is not a bad song at all. In fact, it's actually really good. It's just Painkiller, man. The entire album of Painkiller was just a masterpiece. Alright, we're getting higher on the list. So now, here's our number 2, Metallica. I love Metallica, really. Everything up until the Black Album and Death Magnetic onwards, because screw the late 90s and early 2000s, was just great, And Metallica was my favorite band for a while, up until I found my current favorite band. Even though my love for Metallica slightly died a little when I discovered the Load albums and Saint Anger, which was even worse. Any Metallica fan will tell you that those albums sucked. Honestly, am I the only one who thinks that Metallica's experimental era could have been avoided if Dave Mustaine didn't, get fired and Cliff Burton didn't die? And honestly, RIP to a legend. He had too much ahead of him, and personally, I think he was Metallica's best bassist, so RIP, man. Alright, we are at number 1 on our list. This is my favorite band. I mean, favorite by a long shot, dude. This band is just so awesome. I listen to them almost every day. They're just amazing. This band is Dream Theater. Now, as a metal band, they're actually not insanely popular, even among the metal industry, which is kind of sad because they're incredible. So most of you guys, even you metalheads, might not know them, but they are a progressive metal band but they're not just like any other progressive metal band. They have like a different kind of feel to their music. Like they take their time, they do what they want. They're not always in your face metal. Like you could go from acoustics to metal to piano to some other instrument. They even throw different instruments into metal. You know, in one of their songs, they put flute into the song and it fits so well somehow. Like they're just really good at that. I can even tell y'all how I first discovered Dream Theater several months ago. Now, ever since I got into songs that like took their time and made you feel at home and weren't afraid to change things up every so often and were just generally long because I don't know, I like long songs like that for some reason. I wanted a band that was just like Dream Theater, you know, everything I described about them before. And then, you know, I was looking up progressive metal songs, and then I found one of Dream Theater's songs, and my first Dream Theater song, Octavarium, which was 24 minutes long, and it blew me away. Now, most people, mostly pop fans, would be like, oh, 24 minutes? 6 minutes is long! But here's the thing about Dream Theater. With their songs, it doesn't even feel like it's long. Like you just completely forget that it's so long. You know, most long songs, it kind of feels like it's like pulling, it's stretching. But with Dream Theater, it feels like they're not even trying to make the song long. Like they genuinely are just doing music and it's like actually like going the entire song without feeling, you know, pulled or stretched. It just doesn't feel like they're pushing it, and you can be entertained the whole way through. Heck, when I first listened to Octavarium, it didn't feel like it was 24 minutes. If anything, it more so felt like it was 12. Oh, and by the way, Octavarium's turning 20 years old this month, so happy 20th anniversary. And eventually I was like, you know what? Octavarium's really good. I wonder what other songs this band has. And that's when I learned that Dream Theater, just in general, is an incredible band, and a lot of their stuff is just mind blowing. I listen to Images and Words, mind blown. I listen to the entire album of Octavarium, mind blown. I listen to Scenes from a Memory, which is literally their best album ever, and probably one of the best albums of all time, at least in my opinion. Listen to that, and I was completely blown away. But yeah, they are just great. I'm trying to listen through their entire discography right now, and I'm getting towards the end, and I can tell you right now, very little of their stuff is just decent. If you're a metalhead and you especially like progressive metal, I seriously recommend you listen to Dream Theater. Trust me, they're just incredible. They've made some of the best music of all time. Scenes from a Memory, one of the best albums of all time. Octavarium, the song, easily one of the best songs of all time. I kid you not. Every time I listen to Octavarium, towards the end, I literally have to try not to cry because that's how incredible it is. And, you know, some of, you know, Scenes from a Memory, same thing because, you know, Scenes from a Memory is just an incredible concept album, man. Just, they're mind blowing. And the last thing I'm going to say is if you don't really care for their music, if you don't really like it, that's perfectly fine. You know, just you gotta at least respect them. They deserve it. Anyway, guys, that's all I wanted to say for today's video. I got my long yap session about Dream Theater out, which, sorry about that, I just had so much to say. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Consider liking, subscribing, and to all the other metalheads out there, young and old. And I will see you guys later.